Hello friends! Today's article reports on the massive Republican rally in central Washington on Saturday, where 3 demonstrations gathered and the spiritual allusions that were expressed. Speeches are in quotes. Opinion article. Spiritual struggle. General Flynn's Arenga. This is just the beginning. The wall of Jericho will fall. We are one nation under God. Rally on the national esplanade. Demonstrations in the middle of Washington. There is an army of digital soldiers. The Knighthood is ourselves. Only the Lord can bring about victory. The president avoids closing down the government. He calls Wiliam Barr a disillusionment. Hackers attack the Treasury Department. Thousands of tourists prepare for the eclipse in Chile. Another monolith appears in Australia with mysterious coordinates. The Arturian 9D Council talks about the enormity of what is happening. Turn your attention away from the wrongdoers and focus on yourself. You need to have faith in the evolution of the human consciousness and in your fellow man. Let's start. We are in spiritual battle for the heart and soul of this country. We will win, said Lieutenant General Michael Flynn at one of the demonstrations held in front of the country's highest court just one day after the Supreme Court rejected another of these campaign demands. The protesters were organized around 3 marches in downtown Washington. The battle we are engaged in cannot be fought with human weapons alone. It requires God's intervention, because in a war against the forces of evil, and only the Lord can bring about victory. And as American citizens, we must refuse to go to the funeral of our own independence. We, the people, are proud to proclaim that the United States of America is one nation under God. In this public profession of faith in God, we acknowledge His Lordship over our country, and we are proud under the banner of Christ and our flag on which millions have sacrificed their own lives. In the scriptures, through strength and commitment, Matthew said, "He who is not with me is against me." In another impassionate speech, Katrina Pearson, a Republican campaigner and exporter, insisted that the dispute is not over, and it's only the beginning. We are the cavalry. Nobody is going to come and save us. She stressed between chants of 4 more years. The demonstration comes a day after the Supreme Court dealt the final blow to the last attempt to overturn the result of the November 3rd elections by rejecting a lawsuit filed by Texas. Rally. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn spoke in front of a large crowd that gathered in Washington on Saturday, 12th December, to protest against the election result, and began with the story of Jericho. "We are at a turning point in history," he said at the Let the Church Roar rally on the National Mall. "And remember, the courts do not decide who will be the next president. We, the people, decide it." Thousands of people gathered to join the rallies and demonstrations in Washington on December 12th, asking the government for fair elections and a transparent recount. Protests by similar community political movements have taken place every Saturday since the general elections in capital for all of 50 states. Many avenues are still at stake, Flynn said. "If there is a guy who can be vindictive or can be obnoxious or dismissive, you are looking at him, and I am not. We don't want a world ruled by tyrants whom no one has elected, and who want to have the power to destroy us. We understand that their plan is to eliminate dissent, submit to any criticism, and outlaw those who do not submit unconditionally to the dictatorship of the New World Order. And if they do not succeed, thanks to the constant persuasion of the media, they do not hesitate to resort to deception, betrayal, perjury, and censorship. Let's not forget that because of the crimes they have committed, they have violated our laws. They have betrayed our nation, and it oath to serve our country. It oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Constitutional crisis. This is about our faith. This is about our faith in each other. And this is about our Constitution and the fabric of our Constitution, he said. This nation is going through a historical constitutional crisis, and we know it. We all know it. The whole country, the whole world is seeing what we are doing right now, and we have to do it right. It's not really about the president. It's about the presidency, he said. Flynn spoke about that the Constitution was, and whether there was anyone to blame, we, the people, voted for these people. We will vote the people in and out, and we have to think about who we are expelling, he said. The founding fathers were really brilliant, and they said, we know there's going to be a corruption right here within the wall of Jericho. They knew that, so they created something where the states have the responsibility. The people closest to we the people and are the state legislators, and that's very important. We cannot accept what we are going through as right, he said. None of our past wars was as much a test of Americans' foundation as this crisis is, he added, saying that he had a vital message for wanted listeners to take away. In our minds, that's where we find fear, he said. But it is in our hearts that we really know what is right, and what I am telling you is that we need to be brave as citizens, because the truth will always triumph over the lie. Justice, the justice that we are seeing unfolding, justice will always triumph over abuse, said Flynn, who has traveled on 6 continents. Our justice has to triumph, and that's what makes us different from the rest of the world. Honestly, will always triumph over corruption, he said, calling on states with controversial election results to give people the recount or the audit or the verification of the signatures that has been asked for. Why not? Why are they afraid of? Why are they hiding from? They are hiding from something. We have to honor each other, and we have to honor our country, said Flynn. Spoke of the men and women in the army who serve around the world, risking their lives because they love this country. The greatness of American culture, the greatness that is given to the American soldier, is a soldier who can stand there in the middle of the toughest fight of his life, where someone is trying to take his life, and in a split second he can go and jump in and protect a child from harm. Only in the United States do we train that way. Only here do we have that kind of culture. So we are in a battle. We are in a spiritual battle for the heart and soul of this country, he said. We will win because that's the truth. Digital soldiers. We have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, I call them because this was an insurgency people. This was executed as an insurgency. This was an irregular war in its maximum expression in politics, That story will continue to be told here, but we have what we call citizen journalists, because the journalists we have in the media harmed themselves, in fact, more than they did to this country. The influence we have as anonymous citizen journalists is immeasurable, with the vast ocean of information available at our fingertips, the unprecedented capacity of our mobile devices, the accidental genius of social networking, and our unconditional desire for truth. Attacks. Now, brief news. Attack on the Treasury. Hackers attacked the Treasury and another major agency. A sophisticated group of hackers backed by a foreign government stole information from the Treasury Department and the Commerce Department, National Telecommunications and Information Administration. This theft was so serious that it led to the convening of a National Security Council meeting at the White House on December 12th. Government closure avoided. The President signed 1 week extension of federal funding due to expire at midnight on Friday to avoid a government closure and provide more time for negotiations to alleviate the health crisis. The Republican-led Senate passed the bill on Friday afternoon after the House of Representatives, with a Democratic majority, overwhelmingly approved the measure on Wednesday. Senate veto of defense budget bill. The President reaffirmed on Sunday his intention to veto the annual National Defense Authorization Act, which establishes the military budget for 2021. In a tweet, the President presented China as a sufficient reason to reject the law approved this Friday by the Senate. The biggest winner of our new defense bill is China, he said, without going into detail about his concerns. I will veto it, he said. Further criticism for the President. The President criticized the Supreme Court for refusing to consider a case that could help him overturn the Democrats' election victory. He also called the Attorney General, Wiliam Barr, a disappointment. The Supreme Court had zero interest in considering the case, he wrote on his Twitter account, calling the court's decision an embarrassing miscarriage of justice. In his opinion, the Supreme Court chickened out when it rejected the Texas motion. The fact that the Supreme Court finds no standing in a matter of regional jurisdiction between multiple states and even the President is absurd. It's a lesson in the Constitution, he said on Twitter. Brief news. UN warns of West economic decline in 80 years. The world may face the worst economic decline in 80 years due to the health crisis, according to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We are facing the worst recession in 8 decades. Extreme poverty is growing, and the threat of hunger is approaching, Guterres told the Nobel Peace Prize Forum. Apple is accused of ignoring labor laws. Apple suppliers in China have filled their factories with temporary employees to increase profits. This violates China's labor laws, which do not allow more than 10% of temporary workers in the plants. In a report, the information states that the company was aware of the problem, but did nothing to fix it. In Chinese industry, there has been a tendency to hire temporary employees. They are paid less and have fewer benefits. Denunciation of unauthorized migrant transfers. The transfer by air to the mainland of migrants arriving in the Canary Islands provokes a verbal clash between regional administration and the Spanish government. The Andalusian government claims to be unaware of their whereabouts. There is a doubt about the health control of some transfers which the central government denies have taken place without authorization. The current situation regarding migration is causing a clash between territorial administrations. Thousands of tourists prepare for the eclipse. More than 70,000 tourists has arrived in the Chilean region of La Araucanía, in the south of the country, to observe the solar eclipse that this Monday will be seen in its entirety from that point. The usual astronomical phenomenon, although visible from the Chilean and Argentinian skies from the second consecutive year, for 24 minutes the new moon will pass over the face of the sun and cover it completely for no more than 120 seconds, a phenomenon that has been described by NASA as a celestial coincidence. A monolith with intriguing coordinates appears in Australia. The triangular pile showed the locations of the Trump Tower in New York, a small inhabited island in the Pacific, and the Great Sphinx of Giza in Egypt. Mysterious monoliths keep appearing at this time. It was Australia's turn. In the south of the country, a metal structure covered with intriguing encrypted inscriptions was found this week, but within a few days it's vanished without a trace. The monolith was first seen Thursday afternoon in a field in the town of Noarlunga, near the city of Adelaide, as well as other similar objects that have appeared in different parts of the world. The metal piece consists of 3 sides and is 3 meters high. Arturian Council 90. The enormity of what is happening right now. We have begun to feel the enormity of what is happening in the universe for all of us, no matter the dimension, no matter where you are in a physical body or in a non-physical body form. The enormity of the universe change in consciousness can only be measured in a state of feeling, even though changes can and will be seen around you, and there will be changes in your body and in your abilities. The real change will be in the amount of source that you will feel flowing into through you. The same is true for us and for all other beings in this universe. We are becoming more like source, and that is fascinating and beautiful experience at the same time. It is fascinating when we stop and reflect on it, and it is beautiful when we simply feel it and notice the difference in ourselves. We are expanding and including more of our true self in every moment of our existence, and so are you. This is something that is happening to all beings in the universe, including the animals you have in your world. I feel it in the cats. You are going to see the divine in the animal kingdom because they don't have the filters that you have. And you are going to take the additional infusions of energy source and run it. You, on the other hand, still have those filters, and you still have the inability to slow down this process at a slow pace. And that is why you need to feel the enormity of what is happening in this universe. And when you recognize that is happening to all other humans as well, then you can stop looking for the bad guys and stop pointing fingers, because they are evolving and expanding with you. You will have to allow more to flow from source to them and through them, or you will not make the journey with you into the 5th dimension. That's why we keep telling you to turn your attention away from the evil doers and turn your attention to yourself, because you need to keep up with these energies as well, and you cannot do that when you have your head stuck in a rabbit hole that feels very badly about you. You need to have faith in the evolution of human consciousness and faith in your fellow man. And most importantly, you need to feel the enormity of what is happening within you. For the entire universe also exists within you. It is a holographic universe that we live in and that we all are. Remember that everything and everyone out there is also in you. And remember that this experience that we are all having together is supposed to be a glorious, wonderful and joyful event. Thanks a lot, friends.